Hi guys, I'm Antoni Porowski and I'm in studio with the Hollywood Reporter.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
It's so great to see you.
It's great to see you, and I'm already thinking this is sort of like a continuation of the last time we were together.
It is.
Because we talked about Persian food.
We did talk about Persian food.
Did you notice the two Persian recipes in the book?
I did, and you're here to talk about your cookbook.
I am.
And there are two Persian dishes in here. Now it was tahdig for sure,
yeah.
with the potato.
Yes.
Which not a lot of people do. My mother does it.
I love it with the potato because it's like a sweet little extra crispy layer that you can add.
Fried, yes.
Yeah.
And I call it the pomegranate sauce.
Fesenjun.
Fesenjun.
Yes.
How do you say it better than I do?
I don't know. I'm probably getting it wrong.
Well, no.
But it's traditionally made with duck, and I make it with chicken just to make it a little easier and less intimidating because some people are weirded out by duck, even though it's delicious and everyone should try it.
It is delightful. I love duck.
Ugh,
So.
big fan.
You're here to talk about your cookbook. Now, first of all, can you believe you have a cookbook?
It's very, it's kind of surreal to see. I get emotional a lot. That's not saying a lot, but when I opened it up and the publisher sent me the first copy, I looked at it and I was like, holy crap, this is like months and months of work and testing and going back and editing, all in a book, and it's out there for everyone to see.
Right. Now, it's more than a cookbook. You talk about your journey growing up, how you fell in love with food. Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I've been deeply obsessed with food since I was a kid. My father and my sisters and my mom, like everyone is the exact same way. And when I was actually approached to do a book, first I was shocked that they wanted 100 recipes. I was thinking, like, how am I going to possibly come up with 100? But when I started sort of thinking about it, and my brilliant editor, Rux Martin, she not only looks like Grace Coddington, but she is like the Grace Coddington of the culinary world. If you get that reference, she's amazing. She has big poofy hair. She lives in Vermont. And basically she was like, we want you to treat, because I was like, are we going to make this like a back to kitchen basics book? Is it going to be a little bit more about like my Polish heritage? And she's like, it doesn't have to be one thing.
Right.
Just like you, like we want to keep it sort of like autobiographical, and you can just kind of go wherever you want with it. Recipes that didn't make it into Queer Eye, I put in there. Ooh. So I just treated it as sort of like starting from the beginning, like dishes that I remember when I was a little kid that my parents would prepare for me, to Polish food that I loved and that I was like ashamed of when I got older because being Polish wasn't really cool all the time. That then I revisited, and like stuff I made when I was like a broke ass student, to like food that I make now, to some Queer Eye behind the scenes stuff that never made it. So
the testing phase seems so fun, yet so hard.
Testing is fun, but it's so basically we did all of this, and I say we because it's, you know, there's like such a team of people behind it, just like Queer Eye. We the way that timing worked out, because that's how life is. I had to basically come up with all of the content for it while we were filming our Kansas City episodes. So we would film 10, 12-hour days, and then I would show up at home and have to test out 3 recipes. And I had a lovely friend of mine, Mindy Fox, who's my co-author. She was on the East Coast. And then Beth Barden, who was a recipe tester. She did catering for Queer Eye. She helped with the Queer Eye book, and she became like a very near and dear friend. She has an awesome restaurant called Succotash, and they have the best Swedish pancakes ever with lingonberry sauce that her grandmother made for her when she was a kid.
Shameless plug.
It's so good. If you're in KC, check it out. And then she would be waiting for me with 3 recipes that I would text her during the day, and she would figure out like quantities to put in, because I've never measured anything in my life. Everything is like an Antoni handful, which is massive, which is probably like 2 cups for a normal human being. And then so like I didn't really know. And she was kind of good at like reading my mind and figuring out what it was. So I would make 3 dishes, she would make 3, and then we would taste them all. The most aggressive night was, I get meat sweats whenever I have meat really late, and there was one night where we did the chicken peri livers, the roast chicken, the steak, the shrimp on a skewer, and the Mykonos pork chop.
Oh my.
Which was a lot of meat to eat that late at night.
I know what chapter you were in. You were in the meat section
of the book. In the meat section, yeah.
Yes.
We gave it a simple name. But it was nice. It was sort of like, and it was just even like working with Beth, I never liked to be alone, and I was like cooking or having somebody in the vicinity, and with her it was a nice opportunity to sort of like let her take over every once in a while or take on certain tasks, because I'm not good at having people help me in the kitchen. I am with other life stuff, but not with that. I'm a bit of a control freak. And just sort of talking over, like, I don't know, like even like the pork chop, when we started talking about it, and it was like, well, why is this important? And then I started talking about how I discovered it in my favorite restaurant in Mykonos of all places. Like you wouldn't think that's where you'd find the best pork chop in the world, but that's where it is.
Okay.
At a place called Kiki's Taverna, this awesome Greek guy who goes to the market, makes his own salads, and has the most amazing juicy pork chop ever with a beautiful fat cap, and just slathers it with Greek honey and oregano. And so it's like an homage to recipes that I've tried from all over the place. And what I realized very quickly is that like it is an autobiography. It's
Right.
like all these dishes are important, and there's a reason why I keep making them over and over again.
Which of the dishes in your cookbook is like the quickest to prepare?
It's not ironically, it's in the dessert section. So I don't really do desserts, and so I don't have a sweet tooth. Like I'll always pick cheese and meat over any type of sweet. And so my desserts are actually all homages to the women and a couple of men who have made desserts for me, and I got to like get in touch with them and get the recipe and like evolve it in some instances. And there's one in there that I smoked a lot of pot in my early 20s, and there's a nice story about it in the book. And my very favorite thing to do was combining two beloved products, and one of them is like a crunchy peanut butter, or you can use almond butter, cashew butter, whatever nut butter you want. It's a weird name, but it works. And then you take Nutella, which is like the peanut butter of Europe, and you make a quenelle, which is just a spoon of each, and you just keep on doing this until you have a perfect circle, and then you put it on a bit of parchment or wax paper, and you put it in the freezer, and you have a ball of chocolate and peanut butter, and who doesn't like that? And you can roll it around in like a score bar, or like dusted like pretzels or anything like that.
Wow. Okay, now which one of the recipes takes the longest to prepare?
The one that takes the longest to prepare, I think, would be a toss-up between the chocolate beer chili and no, it's the bigos. It's the Polish hunter stew.
Okay.
So you have to braise cabbage and sauerkraut because it's cabbage both ways, and then you have to cook like a lot of basically Polish pork. So kielbasa, which is like standard kielbasa, we know what it is. Kabanos, which is like a drier version that kind of looks like a pepperoni with a bit of pork, and you cook everything down. You render all the fat so that it gets really nice and crispy. You remove it from the pan. You have all the fat, and then you put in your cabbage so it cooks in said fat. There's a bit of bacon in there as well, and then instead of adding beer, which makes it really hoppy, I swapped it out and did like a beef bourguignon style of adding a whole bottle of Bordeaux, so it gets like really fruity and jammy and nice. And then I add some dried plums and some marjoram and bay leaves and some other stuff, and then you cook it down. And the best way to do it is actually, my father taught me this. If you leave it in a fridge or like even in your garage overnight so that it's able to cut through, and then you reheat it the next day and you get crispy bits, and it's this sweet, salty, sticky stew, and you can just smear it over nice rye bread with cold butter. It's the best.
Finish this sentence. Everyone needs to know how to make an insanely good
French omelet.
Oh.
Start simple, start basic. Sean Van Meter reference to Queer Eye. Know how to make a French omelet. When someone stays at your house, you should be able to prepare eggs 3 different ways. It's sexy.
Okay. Now, if fresh food is not an option, what's better? To grab like a canned vegetable, canned or frozen?
Frozen.
Frozen, okay.
Just try canned peas and try frozen peas,
Okay.
and you'll understand the difference. The canned ones are brown. I've yet to find like a proper usage for them. And they're 99 cents. It's not like they're more expensive.
Right. You, sir, are in great shape. You're around food all the time. What is your philosophy on food? How the heck do you stay healthy?
I am very hyper. I'm also very vain. So I think it's a good combination of those two things. I do love to eat well. I don't like to deny myself of things that I enjoy. Like I have, every weekend I have a cheese board. It's a non-negotiable. It's just a thing that I have.
It's a good way to live.
Usually by myself.
Okay.
There have to be 3 different types of cheeses. There's a nice cute little demo on the food
There
board
is.
in the book. But like I think it's all about balance. It's like during the week it's about eating healthy, and I try to stay away from, like, everyone has their thing. Like if I speak to Tan, for example, his thing is sweets and bread. He will destroy a loaf of bread. I'm not that guy. For me, if you give me a massive block of cheese or a stick of butter, I can have a whole stick of butter.
Oh my gosh.
No problem. So
Wow.
it's like dairy fats for me, or like those are my
Okay.
trigger. So I try to limit my dairy as much as I can during the week. So then it actually allows me to enjoy them more on weekends, which
Okay.
I really like.
Yeah, there you go. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun. Let's play a game.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you a photo of a celebrity, and you tell me what you would cook for them.
Oh, I like this. That's
Yeah.
cute.
Could be from the cookbook. Could be,
Okay.
just whatever.
Okay.
Something
We'll mix
from
it
the
up.
show.
We'll mix it up.
Number 1.
Oh, I had a chance to meet him recently. He's the sweetest, kindest guy, and he and Amal are like, they're the chicest couple to ever grace the earth. You know what? I know what I would make for George.
What?
Because he appreciates Italy, and he had a place in Como. Maybe he still doesn't. I'm not sure if he does or not, but when I was there last time, I saw his place, and it was awesome. Finocchio, fennel is really popular in Italy, and in the south of Italy, citrus is really big. So there's a really nice winter, like a fennel citrus salad with paper thin, basically cut fennel, and a bunch of different citrus and like pistachios, and that's something that's like really Italian that can be made it's evergreen, like you can make it year round.
All right, moving on. We've got Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio. He's very big into. Who's the reflection of? Is that him?
No, that's definitely not him.
That's someone else, but it looks like.
I don't hate it.
Okay, Leo. He's an Italian man. He should know how to make cacio e pepe. And I figured out how to. Are you familiar with cacio e pepe?
I know what it is. I don't know how to make it.
It's technically really weird because there's no cream added, at least not in a real one. And it's all about the emulsification of pasta water with cheese, and it's the temperatures of the bowls that you're using. Because you want like a thick, creamy sauce that's not like offensive amounts of cream. Not that we hate that. So I would want to teach him how to make like a very traditional Italian dish. Cacio e pepe for Leo.
All right, last one. Taylor Swift. Your girl.
I know what I would make for her, actually.
What would you make for her?
Because I have made this for her, a version of it. It would actually be, oh my gosh, I forgot what the name of it is, but it's basically like a lemon and crumbled sausage pasta that uses, you just heavily reduce white wine, a lot of lemon. It's like a version of spaghetti limone, which is one of my favorite things ever, where you cook out all the acid of the lemon, but you have this beautiful concentrate of this, like, it's like limoncello minus the booze, but it's just this like lemony syrup with the zest, and you have crumbled sausage and like a shit ton of parsley, and it's just, it's like flavorful and fresh and still decadent because it's pasta, but it's just, it's like, it's the perfect pasta dish to have in the summer. Okay. Because you know in the summer you want to eat light, but then sometimes you're like, I want pasta. Yeah. That's the one you want to have.
All right. Antoni in the Kitchen. Out now.
That's me.
This is you.
Yeah.
Pick it up. It's in stores. And thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me, as always.